What's up, everyone? All right, well, this is my second recap, and I didn't upload the first one. So my first recap was, hey guys, I'm up $20,000. It's a great day. I got green, had a great morning, a couple trades, shut it down. Really disciplined, composure, solid. Well, now we've got recap part two. Hey guys, I gave into FOMO again today. I traded NURO and made about $3,600 on it. I left and ran some errands. I had to go to the DMV, Department of Motor Vehicles. It's just like a pain in the butt. I was there for a couple hours. Came back down here and sat down to trade. Why? This right away is like poor judgment, because when you have a good morning and then you leave for like 3 or 4 hours, you don't come back and sit back down at your computer to trade. You keep the money in your pocket from the morning. That's it. You don't come back. Why did I come back? Well, NURO. It was NURO. I knew that it was squeezing up because around 11 or so when I left, I had taken a couple trades on it. I made like $1,800 or something like that. And I was like, all right, this thing's moving. And I had held a small position and just set a stop on it at like 475. And so I'm at the DMV and I keep refreshing my phone, but there's like no service there. And I refresh it and I see it's at $8 and I was like, nice. And then I refresh it again, it's at like $9. And I was like, sweet. And then I was like, all right, I gotta get home. And I refresh it and all I have on my phone is like a line chart. But I saw that it had hit 10, had pulled back, and it was in this kind of like little consolidation. I was like, oh man, this looks good. By the time I had sat down at my computer, it had already halted up twice. So then I bought the resumption on out of the second halt and just sat down and was like actively trading it again. And that was a mistake, for sure. I did make some money on it, and then I got smoked. And I'm net negative as a result. I'm down 15,000 on the day. I'm down 35,000 on NURO. I took a huge position. We got this ridiculous false breakout. I was long for the break through 11, 11.25, 11.50. It rips up to 12, then drops to 9.93 and halts going down. And I'm in. So yeah, that was not fun. But in case you didn't already know, trading is risky, and I know that, and I knew the risk coming back, but during the recap, I'm gonna look, and I already did the recap, so I know what I'm gonna talk about, or what I already talked about. So during the recap, I talked about afternoon trading in general, and it's a really tough one for me because generally it's not paying off for me, and I think it's for a lot of reasons. Decision fatigue, getting a little sloppy, having a big account kind of allows me to average down and do some things you probably shouldn't do, and sometimes the market positively reinforces that bad behavior, and so you start doing it. And afternoons, I sometimes catch some really nice winners, and it's because it's happened a few times, that's that temptation to go back. It's like, I've gotten some really good afternoon winners, and look at this thing, it's going crazy. But then I have other times like that where I take an afternoon trade and I just get crushed. And it happened a couple weeks ago on Carve. I lost $50,000. I was up 35,000 on the day and finished that day down 15,000 as well. So today's a red day recap, which makes it 2 back-to-back red days. And I'm gonna have to be really careful tomorrow just to get in, get green, and get out. Small account strategy, essentially. But you can trade that strategy in a big account if you're needing to kind of clear the slate, trade a rehab, whatever it is. And after 2 red days, that is necessary. So I feel discouraged, but on the other hand, I think that these types of days are good. They're good learning opportunities for me and for you. I hope that you're able to learn from some of the mistakes that I make. Even after doing this for this long, if you get to a point where you become a profitable trader, you're likely to continue to make certain mistakes like I do. I don't know a successful trader out there who doesn't occasionally, send me a message that I know, who's like, oh man, I can't believe I did this. And we're all human. We make those kind of emotionally impulsive decisions at times, or we give into FOMO or whatever it is. So that's part of trading. One of the things that we talk about is how for a lot of beginner traders, we know that beginner traders lose money. That's statistically what we've always been told. The odds of success as a trader are very, very low. So for a beginner trader, one of the problems is you might have a couple days of profit, and then you'll have one day where you go red, you give it all back. So you have 3 steps forward, then you make like 10 steps back. Now you're digging a hole. Then you have like 3 more steps forward, and then another 10 steps back, and the hole just gets deeper and deeper and deeper. And then you get to a point where you take 3 steps forward and you take 3 steps back. So now you're flatlining. You go up, you go back, up and back, up and back. But you're basically flatlining. And that, although that can be an exciting time, because that's when you start to realize that you're keeping your head above water. And that's usually what would happen before you start making progress, right? I mean, now, again, for those that actually get that far through the learning curve, who don't blow up their account, who do stick with it, who have the mental aptitude, the physical skills, and everything else that are required to trade. But that's what the progression, I think, usually is. It's, first losing, then breaking even, and then, you're doing 4 steps forward and 3 steps back, and then 6 steps forward and 4 steps back, or whatever it is, but you're starting to then make progress. So it doesn't mean you won't still have days like today, where you have a red day and you're like, man, I overstayed my welcome, that was stupid. And usually the right thing to do after that is to go back to basics. So for the next 4 or 5 days, you can start the process of rebuilding. And then inevitably after 5 or 6 days, that red day's like water under the bridge. You're not thinking about it anymore. You start getting more confident, a little more aggressive, perhaps a little complacent, depending on the market. And you might, roll into a really nice hot streak, but then you get, a big loss. And again, it's like, all right, that was 10 steps forward and then, 3 big steps back. Okay, so then back to basics again, start tightening up until you're back through. And that's the same thing I did earlier this year when I lost $240,000 in one day. One day, and it was on my birthday. So, I ended up losing about $300,000 over the course of a week, and I had to press the reset button big time. And I was like, okay, so until I make back half of what I've lost, so half, it's got to be just like super disciplined, trader rehab, small size, in, out, quick, that's it. Once I get that far, then I'll have had some confidence, then I can start to increase. And I did, and I made it back, but recovering emotionally can be half the battle. So tomorrow I have to be a little bit, I have to guard myself a little bit on preventing more emotional decline of, because that would be the result of another really big loss, is emotional frustration. So there's a little bit of kind of having to manage emotions in trading and keep yourself out of areas where you're likely to fall into an emotional trap. And today I fell into a trap similar as last week, or maybe it was the week before, but yeah, it's part of trading. Easy come, easy go. Trading is risky. And it goes without saying, but you shouldn't try to blindly follow me or anyone else for that matter. You've got to learn a strategy, and you shouldn't ever trade real money until you put some time in a simulator and proven in a simulator you can make money. Because if you can't trade profitably in a simulator, you shouldn't even be touching real money. I mean, that's just the way it is. So there's a right way to get started, and then there's how pretty much everyone else does it, including me as I got started. But I would hope that you can learn from some of our mistakes from those who have come before you and trade in a simulator. So anyways, I'm going to do the recap. Well, I already did it, so we'll go into the recap. I hope you enjoy it. It's a red day recap, but in a loss is a lesson, and I'll be back on tomorrow morning, back in the saddle as always, and hopefully we have some good opportunities. And I don't know, but regardless of what we have, I'm just gonna have to be really kind of just get green and get out. So that's just where I'm at. All right, that's it for me. Hope you have a great rest of the day, and I will see you first thing tomorrow morning. What's up, everyone? All right, well, this is recap take 2. I can't believe it. I was up $20,000 on the day. I had a great day going. And then along came NURO, NURO, and I sat down and took this trade right here. Nice dip entry off of 1030, added into 1125. It breaks 1150. Hits 12, and then halts going down at 993. What a slap in the face. Look at that 10-second candle. It was like it broke and then straight down. I haven't seen one of those in a while. I mean, that was just ridiculous. It went up $1 and then dropped $1. And I got stopped. I got stopped on it. Man, what a disappointment. Unreal. So I'm down 15,000 on the day. I was red 25 yesterday, or whatever it was, 24, 23. So it's going to put me down $40,000 in 2 days. Easy come, easy go. It's just, I mean, what are you supposed to do with that? You know, the fact is, honestly, I think more than anything, it just speaks to the FOMO of afternoon trading. Just getting caught up in that afternoon chop, and I shouldn't have done it. I was up $20,000 on the day. When is enough enough? Was that not already a great day? You know, the problem for me is I sat down and I saw NURO, up this much, and I thought, you know what? It's a nice consolidation pattern right here, which is true. It was. It was a nice pattern. Nothing wrong with that. Looking for a move back through the highs. You just don't expect that kind of rejection. You just don't. And I didn't expect to lose over $1 a share on this. $1.50 a share. I didn't expect that to happen. So you live and you learn. Easy come, easy go. Trading is risky. We know that. And I sat down here well aware of the risk, and I took that trade anyways. You know, I thought that the risk reward was good on it. I thought we had a good shot at that squeeze up to 12. And man, I just got nailed on that false breakout. That was a bad one. So I am still green $5,000 in my main account, but I'm red 19 in my retirement account. Just totally nailed. So boy, such a bummer. But what else can you do other than just brush it off? It is what it is. Nothing I can, I'm not going to keep trading. There's no way. I mean, what's the point today? I'm not going to try to make it back. I'm just going to let it be what it was. And sadly, I actually, I had profit. I was green on NURO by about $3,600. That's the thing that's kind of most annoying is I was green on it. I traded it in this area here before I went to lunch, and I was up $3,600 on it. So I was up like 23,000 on the day, and now I'm red on it in both accounts. And just, that FOMO. I came back for more and gave back my profit, took too much size, and man, got smoked. So, if that's not a reminder of easy come, easy go, I don't know what it is, what would be. I had a great morning and gave it back in the afternoon. Now, fortunately, the small account is still green by $130, so I didn't go back in and do anything there because the small account approach is one trade a day. But here in the big account, I really wrecked my day. And so now I have 2 red days back to back. I was green yesterday. I was red yesterday, and I was green this morning and then gave it back. So now I've got 2 red days back to back, down $40,000 in 2 days. That really sucks. That's no fun. So that probably takes, 25% of my month away right there in 2 days. I mean, I don't know exactly where I sat on the month, but probably at least at 200,000. So losing 40K in 2 days is a big drop. But, we'll still be up well over 100,000 on the month, and we'll no doubt recover this loss. I recovered all of yesterday's loss, almost all of it this morning, but I came back for more. I got greedy. I saw this big move, and I wanted another piece of the action. It's it's a sickness is what it is. An inability to fully walk away, to sit down and look at the charts, and then next thing you know, you're back in. It's so hard for me. It's my biggest struggle. I can't imagine how much money I've probably lost over trading. If you add it all up, it's not just afternoons, but just over trading in general. I can't imagine how much money I've lost over trading, but a lot. On the other hand, no reason to beat yourself up more than necessary. There are some days where overtrading does seem to pay off. And I suppose today, if this had gone to 1250 and halted up, maybe I'd be sharing a different story of how I just made $35,000 on that afternoon trade. So easy come, easy go. I got the wrong side of this one, and there's nothing I can do about it now. Just best to cut the loss, rip that Band-Aid right off, and live to trade another day. So I'm down 15,000. Being down 15,000 is not the end of the world by any means. What's disappointing is that I was up 20 and now I'm down 15. And what's annoying is the embarrassment of I'm the guy who's red on the stock that's up 200%. Wow. That's humiliating. Really screwed that up. But that's trading, that's how it sometimes goes. So you got to just brush it off. And tomorrow, what's the plan? So, tomorrow I don't want to have 3 red days in a row. So tomorrow I've got to be really careful. I really do. I've got to be really careful. And I'm going to have to see, the thing today is I shouldn't have come back for the afternoon, but I was already up nicely on the day, and then this was obviously moving, and I thought, all right, let's go for it. I think it's going to rip. So I'm not going to be able to take that type of trade tomorrow in the afternoon after 2 red days in a row. There's just no way I could afford the risk of having a 3rd red day in a row. I can't. So tomorrow I'm going to have to be really disciplined, get aggressive early, and then get out. And if I can finish the day up 10,000, 15, 20, whatever it is, that's fine. Even if it's up only 1,000, I just have to get green and walk away and not continue the red streak. Very, very disappointing to go from up 20,000 to down 15. That's not fun. Although, it happened to me on, I can't even remember what stock it was, but it happened to me just a couple weeks ago on, was it Carve? I can't remember. But it was something kind of similar. I ended up losing $50,000 on it in the afternoon. And I went from up 35,000 on the day to down 15 grand. Sucks when that happens. And that's the reminder to you guys, learn from the mistakes I make. Yes, I've been doing this for a long time. I would like to think I'm at an experience level where, looks like I just lost connection there. Interesting. Well, but I'd like to think I'm at an experience level where I wouldn't keep making, kind of just stupid mistakes like this. I think the hard thing about trading is just always that feeling of, well, if I'd been green, it wouldn't have been a mistake, right? Yeah, I guess it was an afternoon trade, but if I'm green, I'm green. It wasn't a mistake. So there's the challenge where the market reinforces your behavior. Sometimes it positively reinforces bad behavior, like averaging down, or, maybe I'm still holding, let's say, the whole position, and maybe it ends up going back to 13 by the end of the day, and I'm like, green. That doesn't mean it was the right move by any means, but the market would give you that positive reinforcement for a really poor decision. And that's probably the worst thing about trading. If I never, ever made money in the afternoon, of course I wouldn't do it. If I never made money on this pattern, I would never trade it. But this pattern has paid me before, and I took a stab at it today. Was it the right move to trade this late in the day? Probably not. Was it the right move to trade with as much size as I took? No, definitely not. But on another day, it might have ended up paying off, and then you have that sort of conflicting reinforcement. So it's a real challenge. And at the end of the day, what you really have to get to a place of is being able to enforce discipline on yourself, and to be able to say, listen, these are the rules of how I trade, and I don't break them. Right now, I don't know if I don't have my trades imported for the month of July, so I don't actually. And I've mentioned this before, but I don't actually know where I sit on the month of July right now. I kind of didn't want to know for this reason right here, especially because now I'm going to be benchmarking. Oh, I was up X amount. Now I'm up only X amount. When the fact is, I'm still in really good shape. So, regardless of losing 40,000 in the last 2 days, I know that I've had a really good month, and I just don't need to know the exact number. But in terms of afternoon trading, it's one of these things. These are my trader view reports here. This is for a pretty long period of time. But you see so consistently that I make so much more money at the open, and it just peters out in the afternoon. I mean, it's not to say that I don't occasionally hit an afternoon winner, but it looks right now, 83,000 red after hours. Let's see, what was that? 83,000 green. So those two cancel each other out. So that's after 2 p.m. So after 2 p.m., there's no point. I mean, based on my metrics. And then there's minus 80, and then there's another minus 67. So currently, as of right now, I don't make money trading in the afternoon. Sometimes I will, but what I make, I'll end up giving back. Now, that's a long period of time. If we tighten this up to, just 2021, maybe we would find somewhat better metrics, but no, not really. Honestly, not really. You've got some huge losses here in the afternoon. In fact, it's even worse. And I would speculate it's even worse because I've gotten comfortable taking even bigger size. And when you catch one of these with 25,000 shares, it's pretty nasty. So bigger size has resulted in bigger losses when they go the wrong way. A bigger account means sometimes I get a little stubborn. I don't want to cut the loss, and then it snowballs. It gets bigger and bigger. So I suppose I should probably just say at this point, I don't trade past noontime. I feel like I've said that before. And every time I see a stock make this kind of move after my noontime cutoff, I say, well, what the heck am I doing stopping trading at noon? Stock's still moving. I should keep trading it. But as you get later in the day, you get more prone to these false breakouts or news coming out even then that could be devastating. God forbid something like this comes out of an offering priced at like $5 with 25,000 shares. You're talking about potentially $100,000 loss, $150. I mean, it could be really, really bad. So, I don't know. Live and learn. I hope you learn from some of my mistakes, some of my losses. It's a red day recap, 2 in a row. I'm discouraged. But, I'm down and I'm not out. I will be back. I'll be back on the horse tomorrow. I always get back in the saddle. This has happened to me so many times. I just get used to getting knocked around by the market. You win some, you lose some. Trading is risky. Just never feels good. It's not fun, but I'm already totally over the $50,000 loss. And when was that? That was on Carve. That was about a week ago. My metrics are saying, let's see, that it was about 1 week ago that I had that loss on Carve. So I finished that day down 15 grand, but I lost 50 grand from my high down to minus 15. So, within 2-3 days, it was water under the bridge. I'd actually completely forgotten about it. And then I just noticed it on my YouTube recaps. Had a couple great days last week, 40,000, 42,000. Finished a little slow, 17,000, I think on Friday, 9,000 on Thursday. So like 25 to 26,000. Down 23 yesterday, down another 15 today. Well, I could always keep trading. Right now, my account's still green. I'm not below max loss, but I'm making the conscientious decision to shut it down, to close the charts, and live to trade another day. You never want to empower one trade, with the capacity to ruin your month. So down 15 grand, I'll bounce back pretty quick. I have no doubt about that. But you know, it's disappointing because it's going to take a couple of really awesome trades, and those awesome trades, rather than really being like profit, is just kind of recouping loss, which kind of you feel like, oh man, it's such a bummer. Just like that, you know, down, you know, whatever it was, 35,000 on those trades on NURO. You know, for me to hit a $35,000 winner, I mean, that's a big winner. Usually it doesn't come in one trade. It's going to be, you know, a bunch of really good trades. And so it's going to take some time to get back that loss. But, you know, you can't focus on that. What you have to focus on is just putting that behind you. And so just to kind of, you know, recap this for just like a quick second. So one of the things that, you know, traders often ask me is how do I regroup after a big loss? Like what's the process? And the process for me is what I just did, which is looking at my metrics and drawing a conclusion. So I looked at my metrics and I drew a conclusion that trading in the afternoon is not paying me. That's a very obvious conclusion. So there's a part of me that is not quite willing or ready to accept it because I see stocks moving in the afternoon. I, of course, have made money in the afternoon, but then I have these like outlier losses that just become huge. And in net, those have exceeded how much I've made. So part of me is like, well, can you just stop with the big losses? It's easier said than done. So the fastest solution would be just, you're done. No afternoon trading, that's it. Don't do it again. Don't look at charts, don't check them, don't just totally block it out. You're done. It's just I feel like I guess I don't like that that particular kind of finding because I feel like I mean, given the fact that I was green on NURO before I went red, it's like I know I can make money in the afternoon. I just I need to be maybe a little bit more cautious with share size, or I need to be a little bit more careful with false breakouts, you know. But some of those things, like, you know, cautious with false breakouts and afternoon trading go hand in hand. And share size is so hard to restrict in the moment because you think something looks good and then you size up and then you lose and you're like, oh man, it took too much size. It's so hard in the moment to kind of, for me to regulate share size. So really the best move for me is pretty much to go all in, you know, with what I know works, which is trading the morning. And maybe if I really want to make a commitment to trying to trade in the afternoon, I think I need to do it in a little bit of a different way, because this was a perfect example of kind of haphazardly sitting down at 3 p.m. and being like, oh, that looks good, I'll take a trade. You know, but I didn't trade from 11 until 3 or whatever it was. So I missed this huge window of afternoon trading where it actually traded pretty well. I got in for the worst false breakout. That's just the luck of the draw. But it's kind of like you either go all in or you don't. You either trade all afternoon or you don't do it at all. You can't just go run errands and then come back, sit down. That's not the right way to do it. And I feel like I should know that by now, but it's such a hard one. So, you know, if I was going to make a new rule for myself, you know, and I have a couple of trading rules, you know, that I try to follow. I'm not always good at them. The giving back half my profit is a really hard one for me to follow, because when I give back half my gains immediately, it's like I'm already emotionally hijacked. I'm like, oh, well, I just gave back half. Screw it. I'm already giving back money. Might as well just go in, and this trade either gets me back to whole and I feel great, or I lose more. Well, I already feel terrible, so how much more terrible will I feel? It's like a really weird kind of mentality, and that's the emotional stuff. So you know, the problem is, so I'm going to say no coming back after I stop. I think that's kind of the big one. Like, no coming back after I stop. So if I call it a day and I say I'm done, what's up with focus? Yoo-hoo. Right here. So if I go away and I say I'm done, I can't come back. I just got to say, that's it, I'm done. So no coming back after I stop, because you just get out of the kind of groove, you lose focus, and you're not dialed in. And then number two, in terms of afternoon trading, I don't know. I mean, it's a really tricky one. I think the right move for me would be to say no afternoon trading, but certainly don't go away and then come back, because that's where the problem is. And then giving back half the gains, it's still a pretty good rule. But anyways, I don't need to break it all down. I'm kind of a little indifferent on it right now anyways, so I'm not going to write out a whole set of things that I'm not sure I'm going to stick with. I have to think about it a little bit more. But man, what a disappointing day. That is for sure. And usually the way I recoup after that kind of day emotionally, I sit down, I look at my metrics, I try to draw a conclusion about, what should I do moving forward. So, okay, no coming back after I stop, probably no afternoon trading, things like that. And then I say, okay, all right, so that's good. Now look at my metrics from the last, whatever it is, the last 6 weeks. They're good, I'm making money. All right, so these couple of red days are a little bit of an outlier. I need to go back to doing, what I've been doing here, focusing on good trades, good setups, morning, nothing in the afternoon, and stay focused. So, that track record is always a confidence booster. And then I come back, whether it's day 2 or day 3, and I just say, all right, get green. And sometimes it means going back to base hits or going back to like 1 trade a day. Just get green and then shut it down. Because tomorrow I'm going to be a little emotionally vulnerable after 2 red days. If I get in something and I start going red, I'm going to be like, no way. So the instinct to average down, get aggressive is going to be really strong. So I got to be really careful tomorrow that I don't fall into that emotional trap. So get green, get out, and that's what I'm going to be doing in the small account. And I might want to kind of do the same thing in my big account. 1 trade, get green, get out, and just clear the slate of these 2 red days back to back. So anyways, that's the game plan. Thank you guys for tuning in. Disappointing, but within a loss is a lesson. I hope you learned something from it, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. I hope you really enjoyed that video, and make sure you hit the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Our goal is to hit 1 million subscribers this year, but we won't get there without your help. So please, please, please hit that subscribe button.